Almost a year later, when I started this channel, my very first video asked a difficult question: whether Star Citizen might become the game that outlives its backers. At the time, it felt like an honest question, a reflection of the frustration many players were feeling. And in some ways, that frustration still exists today. But a year later, after watching the project continue to evolve, and after seeing the conversations unfold on both sides of the community, the question feels a little different now. Not because the concerns disappeared, but because the perspective around them has grown more complicated. Because when something this ambitious takes this long to build, the real story isn't just about time. It's about what it actually costs to build something that's never existed before. What makes Star Citizen unusual isn't just the amount of time it has taken, it's the scale of what it's trying to become. Early in the project's development, planetary landings were expected to work differently. Ships would descend through cinematic transitions to specific landing zones, a design that would have felt familiar to many players. But as development continued, the vision expanded. Instead of scripted sequences, the goal became something far more ambitious. Entire procedural planets, worlds players could approach seamlessly, flying from orbit all the way down to the surface. For many players, that moment was exciting, because it represented the kind of universe the project had always hinted at. But ambition has consequences, because when the scale of a vision grows, the complexity of building it grows as well. And when developers attempt something that existing technology wasn't designed to support, progress doesn't always follow the timelines people expect. Sometimes the game itself isn't the hardest thing to build. Sometimes the hardest part is building the foundation first. The systems, the tools, the technology required to make the vision possible. And this is where the conversation becomes more complicated, because discussions around Star Citizen often move in two very different directions. Some people see a bold vision, a project attempting something few games have ever tried to build. Others see something very different, a timeline that is stretched far beyond what anyone originally expected. Frustration, skepticism, questions about whether a dream this large can realistically be completed. And both reactions have merit. This isn't about defending CIG, and it isn't about dismissing the frustrations players feel either. It's about understanding why a project like Star Citizen creates both hope and impatience at the same time. Because when people invest their time, and sometimes even their money, into a vision, they aren't just waiting for a game. They're waiting for the promise that first inspired them. And the longer that promise takes to arrive, the heavier those expectations become. And when that promise stretches far beyond a decade, the tensions between ambition and patience becomes impossible to ignore. And maybe this is the real cost of building something unprecedented. Not just the technology or the time it requires, but the patience required to carry a vision across years without knowing exactly when it will finally arrive. Because the truth is, building something that combines this level of scale and this level of fidelity has rarely been attempted before. And when something like this has never truly been done, the path forward is rarely simple. And maybe that's the strange balance at the center of Star Citizen. A project fueled by extraordinary ambition, and a community still deciding how much patience that ambition deserves. Because in the end, the question isn't simply how long the dream will take. It's whether something this ambitious can ever move forward without testing the patience of the people waiting to see it realized.